I get it. UVE got a stack of pallets waiting to be shipped, a few hundred boxes moving through the dock every day, and the last thing you want is to waste cash on a scale that can't keep up or, worse, gives you numbers you can't trust. You've probably Googled best floor scale for a warehouse a dozen times, watched a few YouTube overviews, and maybe even read a couple of Amazon reviews that end up sounding more like marketing copy than honest feedback. The hesitation is real. The wrong scale could mean mislabeled freight, upset customers, and a lot of time spent double-checking numbers. So before you click Add to Cart, let's break down whether the SellEton 48/60-inch heavy-duty floor scale actually lives up to the hype for people in your exact situation. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about the problem this scale is trying to solve. In a typical fulfillment setting, you're weighing pallets that can easily top a ton, you need to read the weight quickly, and you want a platform big enough that the pallet sits comfortably without overhanging. That's where the 48 by 60-inch footprint and 5,000 pounds capacity become more than just numbers on a spec sheet. They're the practical dimensions that let a standard Europallet sit flat, fully supported, and still be read in a single glance. If you've ever tried to balance a 48-inch pallet on a 30-inch scale, you know the awkward shuffling and the risk of a tipped load. The SellEton's platform eliminates that dance entirely. Accuracy is another pain point people keep mentioning. A 1 pound accuracy on a 5,000 pounds range might sound acceptable, but the way that translates in day-to-day use matters. In my research, I found that most small to mid-size e-commerce operations are billed by weight brackets that change every 10 or 20 pounds. A 1 pound variance rarely shifts a shipping tier, but it does give you a clean, repeatable baseline for inventory control. The built-in smart digital indicator, which displays the weight on a bright LCD, cuts down on the guesswork you'd have with analog dials. The screen is large enough to read from across a busy aisle, which is a small but noticeable convenience when you're juggling a clipboard and a barcode scanner at the same time. Now, who should actually consider buying this thing? If you run a warehouse that handles pallets on a regular basis, think a local distribution hub, a small manufacturing line, or a third-party logistics, 3PL, operation that needs to verify loads before they hit a truck, this scale hits the sweet spot. It's also a solid fit for hobbyist woodworkers or metal fabricators who need to weigh heavy raw material bundles before cutting or shipping. The platform size means you can place a full-size pallet, a bulk bag of sand, or even a large crate without having to rearrange the load. The 5,000 pounds capacity gives you headroom for most industrial applications, and the 1 pound accuracy is sufficient for billing and inventory purposes in those settings. On the flip side, if you're a home-based seller who ships a handful of small parcels each week, this is overkill. The footprint will dominate a garage or spare room, and the power requirement plug it into a standard 120V outlet means you'll need a dedicated space with a reliable circuit. For businesses that need sub-pound precision, like a lab measuring chemicals or a bakery weighing flour down to the ounce, the 1 pound granularity isn't enough. Those users would be better off with a platform scale that offers 0.1 pounds or even 0.01 pounds resolution. Let's get into the practical strengths that actually show up when you put this scale on the floor. The first thing users notice is the industrial strength construction. The platform is built from a heavy-gauge steel alloy, and the legs are bolted rather than welded, which gives it a sturdier feel when you step on it. In a busy dock where carts, pallets, and forklifts are constantly moving around, that kind of solidity reduces wobble and keeps the indicator from vibrating out of sync. In one forum thread I skimmed, a small distribution center mentioned that after a few weeks of heavy use, the scale still reads consistently without the need to recalibrate, a sign that the internal load cells are well protected from shock. Another practical win is the ease of integration with existing workflows. The smart digital indicator can be set to tare automatically, so you can zero out the weight of the pallet itself and get a clean read on the contents. That's a time saver when you're weighing dozens of pallets a day. The scale also has a simple on-off switch and a standby mode that powers down after a minute of inactivity, which helps keep electricity costs down, something that matters when you have multiple devices running around the warehouse. However, there are a few hidden trade-offs that you'll want to weigh before you hit purchase. The scale's size means you need a relatively level floor. Even a small dip can throw the reading off by a couple of pounds, especially at the higher end of the capacity. While